Welcome to Namaste, everyone. Welcome to our Friday session. Let's just take a deep breath together, maybe let out a nice long which is the sound of the heart waking up. Ready? Oh gosh, that felt so good. Let's do it one more time. It's time to wake up. That's why we're here. We're here to engage in an experience, not just to talk about spiritual stuff or enlightened masters or ascended beings. That's not why we're here. We're here to wake up and to enter into an experience that is wholly unlike anything you've ever known or experienced before. How will you know you are in that experience? Well, we're going to talk about that today. A day or two ago, Vicki sent me a lovely excerpt from Joel Goldsmith, one of our favorites. So I thought that might be a good place to begin. So let me go ahead and open that, and I'll share this with all of you very slowly. I'll just read it to you as Joel shared it in his book. He's asking the question, when is a spiritual experience a real experience? Not just of the imagination, but a real, true experience of an awakened consciousness. There is a presence, and it is within you. And you do not have to go to the mountain or a temple to find it. You can find it sitting in your home, in a public library, or in any church where there's quiet and peace. There is a presence. Wherever you are, it is literally true that the place where you stand is holy ground. That's literally true, wherever you are, in every moment. And therefore, wherever you are, you can attain the actual experience of this presence that is within you. Wherever you are, you can attain it if you choose. Not only that, but you must attain that experience. You must. It's inevitable. This is a guaranteed course. Only the time you choose to wake up is voluntary. But you're going to wake up. So why not now? You must attain the awareness, the actual feeling, the actual realization of a divine presence within you. A divine presence within you. Something that you feel, something that you know, not an idea, not a concept, but an actual living, breathing reality. Heaven itself. That's what that presence is. It doesn't link you to heaven. It is heaven. It is the truth. So when you're in this experience, you won't be able to analyze or dissect it. You won't be able to explain it to your friends or your relatives. It's folly to even try to explain it to yourself. In fact, that's how you'll know it's real. When you go to explain it to someone and no words. It's beyond words, beyond concepts, beyond all of the limiting rules and concepts that you've used to try and limit the experience. Suddenly that experience bursts it open and shatters the ceiling that seemed to keep you from the experience. This morning I looked at a news story on CNN, and it just looked interesting. It was all about the reconstruction of Notre in Paris and how that's going after the fire, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And one of the things they talked about is how the spire, the beautiful, I don't know how many of you have been to Notre Dame, just amazing. Began being built in the early 12th century, took 200 and something years to build. And in one day that this spire caught fire and then collapsed and crashed right through the nave. It broke the ceiling. The ceiling was no longer there to block. This is a metaphysical sort of sense, not literally. But we build temples, we build ceilings, beautiful Sistine Chapel ceilings, to block that extension out into the experience until the spire catches fire and bursts through and the ceiling is no more. And that's what Joel Goldsmith is talking about here. Let the ceiling be smashed. It won't hurt. It's going to be the most joyous thing because suddenly the light will come streaming through. Imagine being in this dark cathedral with no light. And you're trying so desperately to move into those higher realms of spiritual awakening and experience. Suddenly, the ceiling crashes down and the light comes streaming through, and you look up and you see. You finally see what has been blocked. Once again, this is what Joel is trying to explain. Let me go back to this. It isn't enough that you can experience it, not talk about it. And then, because of the fruit of that experience, you will recognize its validity. You will recognize that it is real. All right. There are many, of course, who read about spiritual experiences in religious literature, who delude themselves into believing that they're experiencing the presence, whereas they have nothing more or less than an emotional jag. He's warning us not to be fooled by the illusion of an experience where the ceiling is still intact. Where the ceiling, that's why we paint Sistine, beautiful Michelangelo paintings on the ceiling, so that we'll think that the solution is in the ceiling. And the ceiling never expands and explodes out into full awareness. So he's warning us against thinking that you're there. We talk a lot about humility. Never think that you're there. The moment you think you've got it is the proof that you don't. The moment you realize it got you is the moment you realize you're there. It got you. You didn't get anything. You finally allowed it to get you. Okay. The religious literature of the world is replete with accounts of persons who are victims of self-hypnosis, who write the most graphic accounts of experiences that are but figments of their imagination. And we who read cannot but question the veracity of some of these stories, feeling within that this has not been truly a spiritual experience. Something within us knows, it's like it either connects, someone, as we've said before, can come up and be with us and not say a word about spirituality, not talk about God or their spiritual awakening, and yet something just clicks into place. It's presence. This whole thing began by saying there is a presence. There is an alignment. And when you feel it, you know it. Okay. Let me skip to the end here. Those who do attain the experience of the Christ find that it immediately results in setting them free. Once again, those who do attain this experience, the experience of your Christ or your I am consciousness, find that the immediate result is that it sets you free, free from concern, free from everything. Problems may linger for quite a while, or they may come and go, and that's normal. It's a natural experience in life until, through the continued realization of spiritual identity, spiritual life, and spiritual law, one comes to the place described by the Master as overcoming the world. Overcoming the world is the same as what we said about breaking free, breaking through that ceiling. But let us not believe that he uttered those words during the first month of his ministry, because even after he was functioning as a rabbi and actively engaged in the spiritual ministry, even after he was performing some of the miracles described in Scripture, Jesus still had to face the 3 temptations in the wilderness. And they were serious temptations, as serious as anything that we will experience. So, what's the point here? The point is, I don't know. Maybe that's the point. I don't know. Me trying to define what this is probably what the problem is. I don't have to figure it out. But when I read this, just as it is when I read other spiritual vortexes, because there are certain texts, certain scriptures that are more like a vortex, and they pull you in. Every line, every paragraph pulls you deeper into the experience. And so I know that when I read this, I feel that pull. I feel that drama. I feel the ceiling begin to crack above me. And I know that this experience of love, of unchangeable, unalterable love is beginning to break through. I don't need to know anything more than that. I don't need to figure it out. In fact, I'm better off just relaxing and not even trying. Because the reason I'm figuring it out usually is so that I can put words to it and then go out and say to other people, guess what I figured out? It's like you come to a door, and this door, when you open it, you know is going to be the door into heaven. And so you open the door and you look in and you see this is heaven. This is that state of perfect oneness. And then you close the door and you rush back and say, guess what I saw? Don't do that. Just step in. They'll be right there with you. This need that we seem to have to keep the ceiling intact so that we can be the ones to tell everybody else about it. This is where humility comes in. My willingness to simply step into heaven. There's no need for me to change you. There's nothing I can really give to you but the demonstration, the fruit, as Joel says, the fruit of the experience. And that doesn't come to you through words. It comes to you through presence. As St. Francis said, what did he say? We're here to teach the gospel of love wherever we go, and only when necessary, use words. It's about the presence. And there's someone that I know, two people I know actually, who are holding that presence just beautifully. And I'm going to start with who we always start with, and that's Vicky. So Vicky Poppy, are you out there?
I'm right here, Jimmy. But I have choppy reception. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, I love the analogy of Notre Dame and the fire of our own out. You don't even have to call all the rescue departments. Just sit out the fire, because the fire is burning up our identity, and that's the ceiling. That wherever we identify, even with Jesus in the desert, was it the bread, the power, whatever the temptations were, it had to do with body identity. Let the fire burn, because when the fire burns, there is only the presence, and it finds us. All we have to do is stop pushing the fire, fixing the fire, trying to, redeem what seems lost. And that's what many of us have done. I've certainly done it. Just let the fire sit it out and open up to what is there. And I want to mention, can you still hear me? Because you're frozen to me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
But oh, okay. All right. So, but this is one thing that many people might also share. I call it the 3 o'clock party. There's a 3 a.m. party that I go to a lot. And somehow, sometimes you have to get up and pee or something. But no matter what, there's this 3 o'clock party. It could be a classroom, it's a pajama party, but it's this gathering. And whatever may be lingering in my mind, I find will be right there, like right on the surface. And that's a good place to watch the fire and let it burn out. Sit it out. Just sit it out. And then one way that Joel does describe it in other writings is he says there's a click. And that has been my experience too, that there's almost like a click where you relax. Now, all of us focus fire or the burning, stuff like something just gives way, and all of a sudden everything's okay. Let that okayness open up to a fuller presence. That's all I'd say. We are the church. We are the living temple, all of us. It's not here, there, or anywhere. It's right where you said, where our awareness of perfect oneness is, but more than our awareness of it as an idea, our willingness to let it be who we are right now. Like, just live and let the fires burn, open up, sit them out. What, we call them crucifixions, whatever they are, sit them out and let that experience of our oneness fill our hearts with joy. That's it. Here's Teddy.
So I'm going to say, so I know Joel Goldsmith understands. And the word understands is interesting because of myself, I could do nothing. So he stands under something that helps him realize what's true. But I'm going to say this about Joel Goldsmith. What he said was true, but I'm going to change it a little bit. When that ceiling cracks, you find out that you've always and only been free and could never not have been anything but free. And as a matter of fact, we were so free, we could make a ceiling that we thought needed to be cracked in order for us to find that out. So, of myself, I could do nothing. And like as Jesus says, minds communicate, bodies don't. Words don't, form doesn't communicate at all. And it is just vibratory frequencies of energy. When there's a vibratory frequency of energy of wholeness, then people feel something and they either are attracted to it or repulsed by it, depending on where they're at in their own thinking. But it is true that form does not communicate, and minds do communicate and can join and recognize their oneness. I think one of the most spectacular things that can be offered is a place where people can go for the purpose of discovering and understanding, where all things are given so as for them not to have to worry about daily routines, and they can live with like-minded individuals where you're more apt to be able to experience things in a true order than you could living a life trying to strive to get by. So,
That's Namaste.
right.
Sounds
That's
like
what I
Namaste
didn't
to
want.
me.
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
want to come out. I wanted that to be a discovery by you guys. So that's about all I can say today.
Oh, thank you. And it is true. I mean, having a place where we can join and in a single intention, and that's why we always say the more focused that single intention is, the higher and deeper that experience is going to be when we do join. That's the reason why we come together every morning here at Namaste. Those of us who live here, yes, we have appointments, we have all the different things we do during the day, but to establish the day by joining in that single intention to say that we are here for one reason only, to awaken to the truth that is unchangeable within us. That sets the tone for the whole day. Or for those of you who are with us on Zoom, or all the people who are going to watch this later on YouTube. It sets the tone. So whether you're here physically or not, we're still joined. We live in a time when we can join in very interesting different ways. Even though we're from all around the world, we can still come together and initiate through this holy joining, this experience. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Teddy. Wow, what a great discussion. So Janet wanted to share a very short quote from Thomas Merton, and I think that, I know, because it always does, it's going to be perfect right into this discussion. So Janet, come on up.
It's hard for me to speak, right? No, it doesn't. So you're not going to believe this, but you and I.
Hold the microphone up.
Good morning, everyone. This is really crazy because I was just going to say to Jimmy that he's not going to believe what I found and why, because him and I must have been on the same telepathic wave last night. I found this, yesterday's session was a little challenging for me, obviously, because I felt, in a way, that what we were doing in San Pedro was being challenged and looked at differently than I truly see it. So I wanted to jump up and defend it and do all those crazy things.
Have a seat.
But then I decided that it's not what's important, that God knows truly what's in my heart, and that I didn't have to worry about what anybody else thought or what their journey was, that I just needed to follow my own heart. And so I went into prayer yesterday.
A little further
Sorry,
down.
sweetie. I'm terrible at this. I hate it. No. So I went into prayer, and then after prayer, I was looking on my phone, and I went to Instagram, and there in front of me was a quote by Thomas Merton that explained exactly how I felt and why I'm out in San Pedro, and I would like to share that with all of you. I have to put my glasses. Okay, it's called The Experience of Loving God, and it's from The New Seeds of Contemplation by Thomas Merton. We do not see God in contemplation, but we know him by love. For God is pure love, and when we experience what it is to love God because of himself, we know from experience who and what he is. And that's exactly why I'm in San Pedro, because that's where I found, again, the proof of love that lies within myself and all of us. And to extend that love is the way I can experience the love of God. So thank you so much for.
Here, let me see this. Let me just read this one more time.
I know, because I'm so nervous. I'm like, whoa,
nice
whoa, whoa.
and slow so everybody can really hear
Here.
it.
Oh, you have one. I'll turn this one off.
We do not see God in contemplation, but we know God by love, for God is pure love. And when we experience what it is to love God because of himself, we know from experience who and what God is. And that's exactly what we shared yesterday, that we're here to look upon the Christ in every form, even when it's distressing, but not to see the distress, to see the Christ, to see only love. The Christ is just another word for love. So to look through what seems to be happening and to see only the Christ, to see only love, this is the highest service. This is what it means to be truly helpful. So thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for discussing the experience today.
Yes. All right, let's see. Is anyone else here at Namaste want to share anything or ask a question? Betty, come.
Can I put something on the altar?
Yes, please. Betty's going to put something on the altar for us to pray with.
Good morning, everyone. This may seem a little strange, but I want to put the passing of Prince Philip on the altar this morning because he was a gentleman that did such long kind of service to the UK and to the world. So I wanted to put him on the altar. And I had the honor of spending 3 days at Windsor Castle a number of years ago under the Duke of Edinburgh Awards. And what he's done in the world through the environment, for everything, has just been brilliant. So I just wanted to put him on the altar this morning.
So we place Prince Philip on the altar, knowing that his journey of love, at least this part of it, is complete. And we honor and love him and send him on his way.
Thank you.
And so we pray. Our prayer has been answered. Yes, come on up, Carrie.
First time on the Zoom.
Oh, here comes Carrie.
Wow, this is my first time talking to folks with a bunch of other folks watching from all over the world. I just love when we all are on the same wavelength about a given topic or idea at the same time, because talking about humility and spirituality, and I'm sitting out with a couple of my neighbors last night talking about how important it is to stay in the state of unknowing, because when you figure it out, and Kosho and I talk about this a lot, when you figure it out, suddenly you're in an opinion and therefore judgments. As Paul says it so beautifully, you've eaten from the apple of good and evil, of there's a right and a wrong, and I'm right and you're wrong, or you're wrong and I'm right. And how important it is to stay in the humility. And I went down a YouTube, the last couple of weeks, a YouTube rabbit hole of thought leaders talking about humility and spirituality. So it's just really beautiful to me when James is talking about something up here that just clearly things arise into the collective consciousness.
Yeah. Thank you, Carrie.
Oh, I get to take this.
You can leave that here. She's taking the microphone with her. I want that. You're so right, and maybe this is the perfect place for us to end our week, is to realize that the moment I think I've got it and now I need to tell you what I've got is the moment, as Joel was saying, where it's an illusion, it's a fantasy, because the moment it has you will be the greatest moment of humility of your life. And there will be nothing in you that is seeking to tell anyone anything. All you'll do is shine. All you'll do is vibrate that reality, because you realize there's no one out there to teach. I mean, we say those words every day, but they're true. It's only me. I'm the only one that needs to get this. And when I get this, it's gotten by all, because it was always gotten by all. So we're here just to humbly fall back into the arms of grace, to live within the not knowing, and to know that when I do that, then I am known. I am known by and as the divine, because that is the only thing that's real. I just want to check in real quick to see if there's anybody here in the Zoom room who has anything that they really want to close with, but then we're going to close. Anybody out here? Or Vicky and Teddy, anything, last words you'd like to share? All right. Well, what a beautiful week. What a
Along
beautiful
the line. Oh, okay.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, Teddy.
A close personal friend and brother of mine once said that God only gives, and God is love, and therefore so am I. To have love, give love, to receive love. And that's all I can do.
Perfect. That's just perfect. So now, as we do every day, we are going to claim this. We're going to claim the truth of who we are and have always been. And here on this final session of this week, I want you to really, really, maybe even as you say these words, wrap your arms around yourself and really feel that you're not just saying words. You're sharing the truth of who you are, and you're claiming and allowing that truth to penetrate all of the armor that we have built around ourselves. So here we go. I am the holy, perfect child of God, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love. In me is creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. In me is love perfected, fear impossible, and joy established without opposite. I am the holy home of love itself. I am the heaven where love resides. I am God's holy sinlessness itself, for in my purity abides God's own. And so it is.
And so
Namaste,
it is.
everyone. We love you.
Namaste.
Namaste. I love you all.
Weekend.